I don't think this was some signal that, hey, we're about to blow this thing up because we couldn't beat LeBron. He said if they would have lost to the Wizards in Game 7, he wouldn't feel any differently about his team, which is it needs to get better. But that does not mean that you trade away that #1 pick, or it doesn't mean you say, oh, we got to close the gap on LeBron by any means necessary. Take the long view.
Well, they don't have to exactly be mutually exclusive in the sense that you could close the gap with LeBron, because I do think when you have a team that's in your conference that's clearly the standard, then you do construct your team. And this has happened throughout NBA history, where you construct your team to be the antidote to whatever it is that they do.
Not necessarily.
I think that's fair to say.
Give me an example, because here's the thing that people don't understand. Every player in the NBA got drafted. Everybody got drafted. They want you to make a trade. They want you to sign somebody. But all the players that the Warriors have, they only signed one of them as a free agent, the marquee players I'm talking about. The other ones they drafted. They built this thing. San Antonio, for the most part, LaMarcus Aldridge excluded, has built this thing. So you can be the Celtics and say, hey, let's go draft Markelle Fultz. Let's take the #1 overall pick next year that we might get from Brooklyn, add to it, sign Gordon Hayward if he wants to come here, without trading away those same assets to get a Paul George.
Yeah, but I'm talking about...
assuming he even wants to be there.
Style plays a big part of it. The Warriors are a really good example. Obviously, they have made teams rethink, this whole league rethink how they approach clearly the three-point line. You see what Houston tried to do, right? They tried to construct a team to outscore the Warriors.
With a lot of role players.
With a lot of role players, though. So I don't really mean... some of the main pieces, I don't necessarily mean them. I mean just how your entire approach. I'll say what I don't want the Celtics to do. I don't want this to become, we're just going to wait LeBron out. Because I do think there is room for them to both think long-term and short-term at the same time. They can't continue to get beat down by this dude the way that they have in this conference.
But I think you have to look at the moves and say, does that really make us as good as Cleveland? And that's what I think he's saying. If it's like, okay, we'll give up the farm for Paul George, maybe you don't beat them with Paul George. I just want to say one last thing. Shout out to Isaiah Thomas, who also said he was trying to avoid hip surgery. So let's get this straight. That hip has been bothering him since March. So he had a bad hip, a heavy heart, and a jacked up mouth doing what he was doing throughout this playoff.
Maybe they also can think the series goes a little differently, or at least is more competitive if he's fully healthy.
Exactly.